Hello and good evening. Today I am talking about a recent presentation that I made in an international conference last month. Of course, we had a good audience in the conference, but there were around 60, 70 people. While if I put up this here on social media, I will have big number of audience and I will get feedback from good number of people. So I've decided to record this particular presentation and present here. Right. So let us begin. Yeah. So this is the title, the Green Vacation Simulation. This particular article from which I'm making this presentation, this is primarily associated with my recent research uh, and writing on a very popular celebration here in Vadodara. From last Diwali onwards, we have uh, something called Royal Melo in Vadodara going on. I happened to visit that Royal Melo twice with my family members and relatives, and it struck me because that Melo, that fair, is also presenting what we call a simulation in semiotics, following Jean Baudrillard's idea of uh, what we call hyperreal creation in the semiotic sphere. This specific presentation is a kind of semiotic analysis of the Royal Melo. Okay. This is a kind of case study on hyperreality and how this urban spectacle affects our uh, view of the world. So the first thing that Royal Melo and uh, the events like them are successful is because of uh, middle class unattainable dream. That is a modern desire. That is the desire of an exotic holiday with the natural waterfalls, clean streams, greenery, and mountains. Of course, we all would like to have that kind of holiday, but our economic reality may not permit us to enjoy these kind of holidays, these kind of vacations. So, for a middle class family, such a vacation is often a once in a lifetime event. So, the dilemma here is ecotourism is a luxury that most cannot afford due to cost and time constraints. Pristine nature has become a privilege for a few handful of people who could afford the time and money. So the modern what we call fairs have identified this gap, and they have actually brought in something called this Royal Melo. It is like an urban oasis. So this is a new step up. The new setup offers a similar kind of fun and exotic experience within the urban setting. You don't have to travel to exotic place. It is available in your own city. Let's say Vadodara. It is affordable and accessible. No extensive travels. No expensive hotels. You just have to spend certain hours of your day and like uh, 60 to 70 rupees per head. No, of course, inside you can spend more, but in order to enter into that urban oasis, you don't have to spend much. It is not a big burden on your pocket. Now, this new urban oasis, or what is identified as Royal Willow, It promises nature, exotic animals, different types of food, fun activities, everything in one place. And it is very interestingly tagged Royal Locono, Royal Melo. That is a royal fair for royal people. So basically, when you enter into this, you buy ticket and you enter into that. So there is a corridor that connects the real world. Okay, you're coming from outside, you're coming from the real world, and you are entering into an imaginary world. Okay. The imaginary world that is set up for you, exclusively for you, where uh, you can experience a path through an urban jungle, an artificially created greenery. You can also visit a stream teeming with life. There will be colorful fishes and clean water. And at the same time, you can also see a mountain that rises in the city, again, an artificial mountain. Everything is the entry of your royal mirror. You enter there, you start with the greenery, you see the stream of clean water, and the fishes are swimming that water. On the other side, you see the mountain. So there is an again overflowing waterfall, which is again an artificially created waterfall. There is a pond that has swans and ducks. And if you move further ahead, you can also visit exotic creatures rarely seen in our urban space. Now, all these things are primarily just the entry for your Royal Mirror. They are not actually, you don't have to pay for them. You simply walk through, you buy one ticket and you enter into Royal Meadow, and you begin with greenery and then stream and then mountain and waterfall and then this pond, and then there is these exotic animals caged. So the question is this: is this a true festival, or is it something completely different? So this is where I want to bring in a statement by Guy Debord. He said, I quote, all that once was directly lived has become mere representation. And this is something very important for us to understand and not. We used to live in nature. We used to enjoy nature. We used to enjoy streams and ponds and mountains and waterfalls. But now all these things are represented in a tent of Royal Melo, and we buy tickets to get the experience of these representations. So when we say the word Melo, we are primarily looking at this idea of Melo, the idea of fair. Uh, we are enticed to look at this idea of fair from the Bakhtinian perspective of Carnival. In Bakhtinian sense, this carnival subverts social norms and hierarchy. Everyone is a performer there. It creates a temporary unified community, and all are active participants. There are no spectators as such, because every spectator is also a performer. So these kind of carnivals feature symbolic acts like the mock crowning and subsequent decrowning of the carnival king. So it was a kind of social uh, commentary through the performance of the people. Okay. So can we put this particular model on this idea of Royal Meadow, the kind of experience that I had, I can't do that. Maybe somebody else might read that Royal Meadow from Carnivalesque perspective. But because I could not read this Royal Meadow as a carnival of Bakhtin, I searched for other way of looking at the same Royal Meadow. And the other perspective is that in this Royal Meadow, we primarily reinforce social hierarchy. For example, the tagline itself refers to royal meat, while majority of the people entering the Royal Meadow, they are actually middle class, lower middle class people. None of them belong to the royal category. So these kind of event actually reinforces the hierarchy that because you cannot fit into the top elite class, this is something for you. Here, the participants visiting the fair are passive consumers in small and separate groups, maybe families, relatives together, but they are all consuming what is offered by uh, the fair, by the carnival. They cannot become the performer as such. It strengthens social differences, no rebellion against the existing order. You simply have to accept the order. You are actually part of that order. And it lacks the primary carnivalistic act of mocking the power. We are not supposed to mock anything here when we are entering into royal move. So that's where the idea of carnival does not fit, at least for me, on the idea of royal mirror. So the other way of looking at it is a kind of hyperreal uh, circumstances in which we try to see the world from or through the what we call simulation created by the Royal Melo organizers. So here, simulation, as we all know, a copy of the real, making reality more easily available and affordable. A copy at times without an original. And hyperreality, the point where copies become more real and desirable than reality itself. Representation overshadows the actual. What actually is happening in this royal meadow? There is a real nature, but it is represented in one or the other way in the royal meadow. That is what we call the simulation created in the royal meadow. And people visit that simulation, and while visiting that simulation they create they make images, they take photographs, they take videos, they go live on their social media post, on their social media accounts, and in later stage when these things are posted on these accounts, the kind of uh, response they receive from the people, that becomes a real fun. Interestingly, the real pristine experience of the monument is not the primary objective in this process. We don't go to actually feel the pristine nature. Rather, the clickable and postable document is the motive. We go there so that we can take pictures and later on we can post it on our social media accounts and we can show people that we have visited this kind of uh, fair or carnival. So, in terms of the simulation, there are two very important signs that we could observe throughout the Royal Melo. both the signs are form of boundary. First is a constant reminder that nature is not infinite. The sky is not visible. You are in an artificial world with a sky of its own. You see a roof on your head. When you actually under, like when you are actually visiting nature, you should be in direct contact with the nature. But here, there is the roof that separates you and separates the things that you are observing from uh, the real nature. That roof is there as a sign, as a boundary, and enforces there are these kind of cordons which enforce the binary of spectator and spectacle. You can see, but you cannot touch. Nature is an object for your gaze. So imagine if you actually visit a stream, you will try to enter into the water, you will try to play with the water, you will try to, let's say, drink this clean water. But in this Royal Melo, there is a very clear cordon that separates you from the things that you are supposed to see. You are not supposed to touch those things. Okay. So there is this clear distinction between the spectator and the spectacle, and the spectator remains passive in this entire process. So that's where I'm talking about the primary objective. That is, whatever experience that you are gaining there, you try to document it. That's the only activity that you could do with that simulated nature. The visitor's creation of evidence to be part of the simulacrum is primary. Cameras are immediately active upon entry. The real enjoyment comes later from the virtual world of social media likes and comments. Once I post, I get likes and comments, and that's where I get a kind of uh, self uh, engagement and empowerment. The selfie point is a key destination offering a moment of manufactured celebrityhood. For the time being, by paying money, you can be at the center of the selfie point and you feel like a celebrity. So, what Baudrillard says that there are four orders of the sign. There is real and there is representation of the real through the sign. Now, in that representation process, first order is reflection, that is a faithful copy of reality. You see an image of a dog that refers to a particular dog, that's a reflection. Or you see yourself in the mirror, that's also a reflection. Masking, second order, a copy that masks or distorts reality. You see a kind of sign, but it does not very clearly represent the real. It is masked somehow. Third order is absence, a copy that masks the absence of a basic reality. That is, you see things in terms of simulation, in terms of representation, the things which are missing, which are absent. And fourth order is simulacrum, a copy with no relation to any reality whatever. You see the copy, but there is no real. So this event of Royal Melo masks the absence of the real. The access to real nature is hidden. As a person living in a place like Vadodara and coming from a middle class background, I may not have a chance to visit nature very occasionally, very frequently. So, this entire idea of green vacation becomes a pretense. And if we move a step ahead, the kind of discourse we generate on our social media by clicking these pictures, that becomes a simulacrum because we are representing something that does not exist. We basically show in on social media that we have visited a natural site, but we have actually visited the Royal Melo, which is not natural but artificial site. So this is where I want to highlight the idea of green vacation, that there is human hegemony. The simulation is a sign of human creativeness, reinforcing the idea that humans can generate and control nature at will. So that's why we can create green vacation. Consumerist outlook, nature is reduced to a product to be consumed, a spectacle, and a background for social media post. That's the only role now we are assigning to nature. And cultivating indifference. This is the most horrible aspect and most harmful aspect of events like Royal Melo. The cordon calculated experience prevents any real connection with the nature, fostering an indifference to the environment claims to celebrate. Because we do visit that nature, but we don't develop any kind of feeling for that nature because we are passively consuming it. The Royal Mirror is more than a fair. It is a microcosm of a society that increasingly prefers the perfect, clean, safe, and shareable copy over the complex, messy original. It satisfies the desire for an experience by providing the signs of that experience, reaffirming the superiority of human culture over nature. These are the primary references and further reading for this particular topic. Of course, you can still visit Royal Meadow is there, but I don't know how operative it is. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much.